Today, I am Micah J. Scala, and my group and I are going to discuss about the overview of Jewish literature. Jewish literature refers to the published creative writings by American Jews about their American experiences. American Jews about their American experiences is about how they go through to the process of immigration and acculturation. Seeking to escape the clutches of the Holy Inquisition, some Jews in the 16th century refuged in the young Calvinist Republic of the Netherlands. A century later, hundreds of their descendants crossed to the ocean to settle in the new Dutch colony of Recife in Brazil, where Jewish communal life became more possible in the New World. This kind of writing is shown in a Jewish perspective. So even though they have been in the process of immigration, been through a lot of countries, they still did not forget that they are Jewish people. So what does make Jewish literature Jewish? It is because it distills sensibility, bookish impatience that transcends geography. This literature is not concerned with a divine revelation like the Torah and Talmud, but with a rowdy display of human frailties, which could also describe as a disaster to the experiences of Jewish people. It also offers a feeling of belonging around certain puzzling existential questions. Jewish people believe that God has sent perpetual sufferings to His chosen people to keep them strengthened and purify them. So, they believe that they are the chosen people. Humor is a prominent aspect of Jewish people. It is often a twisted kind of comedy to keep them from despair. Jews are able to laugh at themselves, so some of their best humor is self-mocking. Jews lay emphasis upon the power of intellects, the power to understand their own experience, to judge their own life rationally, to think well is considered a high virtue. The Jewish heroes often try to seek rational interpretation of the world through their own experience in it. So, self-teaching is at the heart of almost Jewish novels.
Hello, so to continue the overview of Jewish literature, so I am the first one who discussed the second two period of Jewish literature. So Jewish literature was divided into four groups. So the first one is the ancient Jewish literature. So what is ancient Jewish literature? So ancient Jewish literature was dominated by religious themes. Means at this point, the literature at this period is influenced by religion, like religious. So, the example of this is the Torah or the Hebrew Bible. So, these two are the most important ancient Jewish literary work at this period. So, Torah. So, what is Torah? So, Torah is the law of God as revealed to Moses and recorded in the first 5 books of the Hebrew scriptures. So in English, the 5 books called Pentateuch, but in Jews they call it Torah. So in that 5 book is consists of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. So that is Torah. So what is Hebrew Bible? So Hebrew Bible is the sacred writings of Judaism called by the Christians the Old Testament and comprising the law or the Torah, the prophets, and the hagiographa or writing. So the first major rabbinic work is called Mishnah. So Mishnah is the collection of mostly halakhic Jewish traditions compiled about AD 200 and made the basic part of Talmud. So Mishnah also is the major written collections of the Jewish oral tradition, which is known as the Oral Torah. So this collection came about as a result of Roman oppressions and occupations which caused the Jewish people to leave the Holy Land around 200 CE. So Mishnah is the first major work also of the rabbinic literature. So this was written by Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi in 222 CE. So let's proceed. The second period is the medieval Jewish literature. So rabbinic literature dominated the medieval period, as well as that both religious and secular works have been created, including the ethnical or the muzar, and philosophical texts, mystical or it called Kabbalistic literatures, poetry, fictions, and history. So if in the ancient Jewish literature it was only influenced by religious, but at this point in this period it influenced a lot. The rabbinic literatures was influenced at this period, the religious and secular works. So it not just only once or twice, but there's a lot of influence has been influenced at this period. So the example of this is the Pidut. So Pidut is a Jewish liturgical poem, usually designated to be a song, chanted or recited during religious services. So Pidut is flourished in the Middle East. So this is a poem created to substitute for, adorn, or preface a passage from Jewish liturgical or the liturgical rite. So that's all my part, and thank you.
The third one is the modern Jewish literature. The modern era saw the continuation of the standard rabbinic literature, but it also saw the emergence of the modern Jewish literature in the real meaning of the word. A major influence on modern Jewish literature had the Haskalah. Haskalah is from a Hebrew word meaning intellect. It is a Jewish movement in Europe that promoted the Enlightenment ideas and put a greater emphasis on the study of a circular Jewish literature as promoting the use of the word of the Hebrew language. The fourth one is the 20th century Jewish literature. So, until the outbreak of the First World War, Eastern Europe was the center of the Jewish literature. And after the war, many authors left Eastern Europe for the land of Israel, which soon emerged as the center of Hebrew literature. And after the Enlightenment of the State of Israel, a new generation of Jewish authors Jewish authors emerged, many of whom also gained the international recognition, and many Jewish writers, however, continue to write in both Hebrew and other languages outside Israel.
Good evening, everyone. For the continuation of the report, so I am Sarnia Buarin, reporting the important Jewish literary works. So first, the Torah. This Torah is the body of wisdom and law contained in Jewish scriptures and other sacred literature and oral traditions. So it contains the first Hebrew of books, namely the Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. It has three concepts, which are the creation, redemption, and revelation. So the second is the Nevi'im. It is the second part of the Jewish structures, which contains the writings of the prophets. So the third Jewish literary works is the Ketuvim. So this Ketuvim is the third part of Jewish scriptures, which contains the poetic books and the remaining canonical books of Jewish scriptures, not included in the Torah or the Nevi'im. Contains the wisdom, literature, poetry, songs, narrative histories, religious, philosophy, and love hymns. So, the fourth is the Tanakh. So, Hebrew name for Hebrew Bible is the Tanakh. So, it is an acronym derived from the names of the three divisions of the Hebrew Bible. The Torah, which is the Pentateuch, the Nevi'im, which is the prophets, and the Ketuvim is the writings. So, and the fifth literary works is the Mishnah. So, it is the first compilation of the oral law between 200 BCE and 200 CE. So, it is divided into 6 orders: the seeds, festivals, women, damages, holy things, and purifications. So, the sixth Jewish literary works is the Gemara. It represents a continued conversation of the Jewish people that goes back to receiving the Torah. So, it contains both Jewish law and Jewish stories. So, the last Jewish literary works is the Talmud. So, it is the combined Mishnah and the Gemara. So, that's all for my report. And thank you for listening.